join unions and organize within a union.
Their rights.
And across
literally. And I also think there are probably not as many cases as she thinks where the ability to collectively bargain or collectively bargaining in like actually doing it is necessary. There are most of these issues could be handled on an individual basis, but there are enough people because of different personal characteristics or backgrounds or whatever that are unwilling to do the same things that some of the other people are to get whatever they're asking for, a fucking AC in their truck or more money or whatever, you know.
We saw a little bit of that, I think, with all the fast food unionization stuff when we talked about that, because a lot of the employees were like, bro, I don't want to be a part of this situation.
Yes.
And then they were ostracized from the rest of the fucking group. But I mean, you could have a situation where you got a small enough company where like a bunch of the workers actually just kind of band together to collectively bargain, quote unquote, where you're like, hey man, we've been talking as a group or whatever, and a lot of the employees are really unhappy about this. We were wondering if maybe we can work with you guys about this. And then you can, that would indicate like a good relationship with your quote unquote bosses, and saying we're not trying to fuck you guys or anything. We just all have like the same kind of concern, and we would like at least to have a conversation about getting that addressed.
Yeah.
That would be a good way to do that, I think. But the best, it doesn't, that I think comes after the individuals that are upset about something, taking their actual issues up to address them directly and then having them fucking solved.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it.
At nearly every category, we were at the bottom. At the bottom. And again, this is not because this is what like the American people have decided. That's just we're going to have this rugged free market capitalism, and sorry workers, like go out there and fend for yourself, care more about low prices or quote unquote freedom or whatever. No, this is not what the American people
wait. Care more about low prices or quote unquote freedom or whatever. Yeah, no, I do care about all of those things more than more than I appreciate what a massive union could possibly do for me. I appreciate my ability to bargain for myself and to have lower prices throughout the country so I can have a better cost of living situation going on, so I can have a better chance at rising above the previous generation because costs are lower, and then I have more freedom to control what my labor is worth in the market. I'm sorry if you don't believe you have the necessary chutzpah to stand up for yourself and actually try to fight for what you believe you deserve. But I appreciate that value. I appreciate the meritocracy involved here. I'm not going to chalk it up to some fucking union rep who literally doesn't give two shits about me.
Right.
I'm just I'm a seat filler for them. And if I become too much of a pain in their ass, they're going to have to take it up with their boss and their boss in the union. And then maybe something might happen eventually. I would much rather have lower cost and quote unquote freedom. Yes, that's what I actually care about, not being a part of a big club that will quote unquote protect me. Government is a big club that's supposed to quote unquote protect me, and they don't do a good fucking job of it.
Right.
Why is a union going to do that when they have much more financial incentive to really not do a fucking shit for me? Carry on.
Put the last element here up on the screen with regards to the minimum wage that Sarah was referencing, just so people can see the numbers. 60% of Republicans support raising the minimum wage not to $12 an hour, not to $15 an hour, to $20 an hour.
Okay, so let's talk about this.
Let's talk about this poll.
Yeah, this poll. It's the tweet that they're showing from at USA Polling, and it says 3/4 of Americans support raising the minimum wage to $20 an hour. Even 60% of Republicans support the notion. So when we look at the screenshot of the study, it says that it's from a place called Data for Progress. Okay, so I don't know anything about this particular polling firm. I guarantee they're not unbiased.
No.
I guarantee it.
I bet you they support a lot of unions.
Yeah. And then at the other side, it says May 5th to 6th, 2023, survey of 1,244 likely voters. So they're doing, Breaking Points is doing an entire segment on a poll of less than 1,300 people and saying that 3/4 of Americans support $20 an hour. And this is a poll that was done by a company called Data for Progress.
How many? What's the current rough population?
330 million people.
330 million. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna go 1,300. Because we'll just round up and give them that one.
Yep.
33. Enter. Divide. Oh, it's breaking my calculator. The decimal is so infinitesimally small. The representative percentage of Americans that they're trying to say represent the whole country is so small it won't even pull up in my calculator. It gives me like a two, it's a square root number.
Because it's like 0.00001%. And that's what they're saying is representative of 3/4 of Americans.
Hey, 60% of Republicans, according to this poll, right?
Yes.
So we're talking 60%. So maybe like 600 people out of this 1,200 people poll believe that, maybe.
And it says voters were randomly split into 3 groups. Each was informed that the federal minimum wage is currently $7.25 per hour. And there are very few states that doesn't say that this is me. There are very few states that have that as their minimum wage.
Yeah. It's mostly in the lowest economic states in the country do that.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I mean, Seattle themselves, they pass their own shit. That's like 20 now, I think.
And then they said, then each group was asked whether they support or oppose raising the minimum wage to one of the following rates: $12 per hour, $17 per hour, or $20 per hour. So that's what they, yeah.
It's a big deal, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so we made it to 5 minutes and 48 seconds, more or less, at 37 minutes. We carry on. At this rate, I'm going to lose too, so don't feel bad.
3/4 of Americans support raising the minimum wage to $20 an hour, and understandably so. And we've been having the conversation about, the fight for 15 for over a decade now. Prices have gone up, as y'all know, quite a bit. So yeah, $20 per hour. If you're thinking about just being able to live and be able to afford the rent, be able to afford food prices, like just the basics of living.
Do you think, okay, so we've talked about how much wages have gone up across the country, right? That we have signs at our McDonald's here. I mean, Washington and some of these states are a little bit of their outliers because they already have really high minimum wages, but this is just an example, right? Our state minimum wage is like $14 an hour, maybe 15 or whatever.
Something
but still at these fast food places, the entry-level jobs, $16 an hour, $17 an hour, $1,000 buy-in bonuses or hiring bonuses, right? Shit like that. So there's no way this had any effect on inflation, right?
Of course not.
The fact that the entry-level
You're devaluing the dollar now?
Right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Definitely doesn't have any effect on inflation.
Right.
Mind you.
So she's talking about how people need to make more money to combat inflation.
Which will then raise inflation.
Right. Oh. If you make the federal minimum wage, if you more than double it, right? We're not just talking about the states. We're talking about the people who actually print the money.
The Federal Reserve,
right? The people who actually print the money. And I know the conservatives out there are like, well, the Fed is an independent, yeah, totally, 100%. Jerome Powell is not connected to anybody ever. I guarantee it. I Men's Warehouse it, right?
Men's Warehouse it, bro.
Yeah, okay. So now that we've established that you're a fucking idiot, that's insane. The idea that raising more than doubling the federal minimum wage is going to help people combat inflation. Is a ludicrous notion to try and put out like it's a fact.
Yeah. Like it would be a factor. It wouldn't be as huge of a factor as, say like the printing of trillions and trillions of dollars into existence, but it definitely is a factor. But what it really does is on a macro level, maybe micro level, wherever you have this, like I say, within a city. If a city raises its minimum wage to $30 an hour, right?
Yeah.
That's going to affect the cost of living primarily in that city, and then it'll slowly ripple out until it eventually dissipates, and then other economic market forces take over, kind of push back, creating these little bubbles, right? And so that it will overall on the net whole have an effect on inflation, but primarily it'll affect your local cost of living,
right?
Because as everybody else makes more money, everybody's going to charge more for that, because for one, every service and Every product and service now is going to cost that much more because they have to, in turn, pay their workers that much more.
Right.
And then when everybody's got more money, housing costs go up, rent goes up, everything goes up. The more money you pump into minimum wage, the higher the cost of living goes.
And that's
you do that on a fucking federal scale, you tank the entire economy. Game over. There'll be entire states throughout the Midwest that are just ghost towns at this point because nobody can fucking afford to live there or work there.
And it's not by any means the only factor, but it is unquestionably
It's
a factor.
a factor,
Yeah, it's
100%.
unquestionably a factor.
Yep.
And all of these people, Crystal Ball included, that are trying to spin this fucking bullshit narrative that that this is what's going to save you from inflation, or they're lying to you.
Yes.
They know that they're wrong and they're fucking lying to you. They're buying into this bullshit narrative from their party, their company, whatever it is. They're lying to you, and they know that they're doing it.
Yep. I was going to ask you if you want more GMOs, but you just get them anyways.
Yeah. No. This was the same we were talking. Surprise, surprise. The minimum wage in Seattle is higher. Everything is also more expensive.
Yep.
Isn't that fucking shocking?
And you still can't afford to
No.
live a place on a
No.
Seattle minimum
They're
wage.
still complaining that rent
Yes.
is too high, even though minimum wage there is close to $20 an
And
hour.
a lot of that shit is rent controlled.
Yeah.
And you still can't afford to do it.
Isn't that weird?
But there's another point I would make about like roommate life being like a necessary experience I think most people should live with, and our generation really hasn't had to deal with that.
No,
But-
Jordan's been my only roommate.
For the sake of time, I won't do that because I kind of made the point already.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat everything.